Before we get started, a couple things to tell you. Number one, we've hit 4,000 subscribers. Thank you so very much for participating in the McGolf YouTube channel. And if you have something that you'd like to see in the way of reviews, repairs, fitting stuff, just put it down in the comments below. That way I can put it into the schedule of things that we have listed for the upcoming year. Also, it's getting ready to be Thanksgiving, so I want to wish everybody out there that does celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you have the ability to spend some time with friends and or family, or both, and that you enjoy your time with your friends and your family. And again, thank you so very much for paying attention on the YouTube channel, and let's see your scores go low, and happy holidays. Welcome to the first episode from Boxes to Builds. Stay tuned, we're going to tell you what that is. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary, most awarded certified club maker, club fitter. And the McGolf channel is where you learn about club repairs, club reviews, and club fitting in order for you to have better golf. And this is the first episode of Boxes to Builds. Now, what is that, Boxes to Builds? Well, what it is since I've been doing this, I've been getting quite a bit of repair work, refitting, that kind of stuff from all over the nation. And I thought it would be really, really cool to track that. All right. So hopefully it won't be in this episode because I'm always about continual improvement. But what I've done is I've ordered a map. I've ordered a map with a little push pin. So go back to your second, third grade period, and we are going to start tracking up there. And I'm going to put it somewhere. You guys can help me out. Where am I going to put this so that you guys can see it? Either in the shop area or somewhere in here hanging up. So look down, put in the comments below where you think it'd be really cool to hang a map. I'm also looking into it digitally in order to see whether or not something like that can be done. And we're going to try that as well. Why Boxes to Builds? Well, stuff comes to me in boxes. And I do builds. So it's pretty simple. So what we're doing today, what are we doing today? David from California got in contact with us, and he went through a fitting from a large company that does a lot of these fittings. And he came back with some recommendations and asked if I could help him. And he said, well, sure, we can do that, not a problem. And so what we have is some Mac Daddy 4s, right? I have a Mac Daddy 54 S grind, I have a Mac Daddy 50 S grind, and a Mac Daddy 58 S grind. I have a 10, and a 50, well, they're all 10. How about that? They're all 10. And what we want to do is we want to take out the dynamic gold S200s that are in there, and we want to put in the new KBS TGI 90s. Now, what's the real trick here? Let's see if I can give it to you where it looks really good. There you go, KBS TGI 90. Neat black shaft. It's going to make it look pretty cool, right? So let's talk about this switch over before we go to the other ones. And everything we've been talking about, swing weight, swing weight, swing weight, right? And you guys have seen my philosophy on swing weight. And if it's not up in here, then it'll be over there on what we've done on some other builds and how I talk about swing weight, okay? This guy right here, if I swing weight it, when I swing weight this is about a D3, right? That's about a D3. If I go to put in this shaft, which says it's 90 grams, and I weigh this, and when I weigh this, when I weigh that, it's just shy of 90 grams, and I go to cut some of this off to make it the right length, it's going to be lighter. And you go from a 115 shaft down to a 90 gram shaft, we'll say. And so that's around what, 25 grams. So that's it's about 2.5 swing weight points. So I'm already down to D3 or D0 with this, starting off everything equal. And he wants D4, D5 according to that, right? Which means that now I've got to put in about, well, if I want to go back to D2, D3, that's another 4 grams at a bare minimum, right? and then he wants to go up more, say 3 more swing weight points, that's 6. So I need to put 10 grams in the bottom of this thing. Now I can do that, but it's all going to be like this. All right, it's all going to be like that. And you know, golf clubs are really about a balance. Do they feel good in the hands? Now I'm going to make this happen, right, with this. Now we're going to either use this or that. And what that is, see how big that weight is at the bottom here? And then you have that shaft that goes in there. Of course, we'll talk about how to install that. This is a slightly smaller one, but the shaft is longer and it goes up into it. Now the cool part about this one is it's more pliable. All right, so this might be just the better choice when you're talking about sucking up. Now, here's the other deal, is now that when it goes into the head, you're taking off whatever that distance was on the bottom of that weight. That's how much is sitting on top of here, and that's how much is not being taken by the shaft. So it's going to play a little bit taller. So now what do? Right? Do you trim a little bit to make up for it? And that's what we're going to talk about going forward. Let's take them apart and let's put them back together. Here we are, we're getting ready to put this on, right? So we're take this off. And again, butane torch. If you guys are looking for one of these, if you go to the link at the bottom here, I have a link to basically my Amazon store, and you can find one of these. A little cooler, a little bit more precise. We're going to melt the ferrule down, pull it down, heat the hosel just ever so slightly, about 20 seconds, no more than 25 in each, like in every third quadrant. Then we're going to put it in the shaft puller, and we're going to do this 3 times in a row. So we're going to go pretty fast on this one. Pay attention. We're going to get this one nice and hot first, right? Only takes about 10 or 15 seconds. Now, unlike my other time I tried to do this, and I'll talk about that one later, I don't have to get nearly as delicate with it because I'm just pulling it down. There we go. So there it came down. Pull that down a little bit. Now you see this where it looks a little more less shiny, or maybe more shiny actually. That's where they sanded the shaft so that they could ensure they had good insertion of the shaft. Now what I'm going to try and do first is try and spin it off. And that's not working, so let's go pull it. There we go. Pulled that guy right out. Now we clean out the hosel and we move on to the next ones. Alright, so again, you've seen this one. Again, hosel brushes, you can find that in the link below. And they're nice and clean. Now, sometimes what you'll see, and it's hard to see in here, but this thing has a shoulder in it, and that's for the collared ferrules. And to make sure that it seats properly, you want to make sure that that collar is cleaned out. And I'm going to show you how to do that. All right, reusing tools. One of the easiest ways to get in there is with a hook blade. And how you do is you get it in there, and the tip just sits right on the bottom of the collar, which is typically where the extra stuff is at. And you just get in there, and you pull it around. You just pull it around until it pops out. All right, that's one way of doing it. Okay, I got it pretty clean, but another way of doing it, this guy again. And just hit the inside of it really quick. All right, hit the inside really quick. Because it is plastic, right? And then you just wobble this guy around. And it does give it a cleaner finish. Hopefully you guys can see in there. Okay, and that's one. Now we're going to go do 3, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the install. We've got all 3 of the shafts taken out, and you saw where we removed the ferrule and pulled them with the shaft, and we cleaned them out with the brush, did all that. Now it's time for the assembly. So as I've showed you guys in the past, we are going to be putting on a pure grip. Woohoo! And it's called titanium, and it's the Pro Grip, And I think it's going to be a really good match for black shafts and black heads. And going forward, we're always going to be building an F8 Cobra hybrid and a 3/4 wood. There, you know, it's going to match the color pretty good. Now, I've done all the weighing of the shafts. I even did the spine and the flowing of the shafts. And I wanted to show you another trick when looking for the flow. You know, you guys have always seen me use fishing line in the past. Well, this is taper tip. And in taper tip, if the heads are a little more loose than the fishing line will allow, then I move to a rubber band, right? And the easy way to do that is that you get it nice and you get it, put it into the tip of the shaft, get it to where it grabs it, then pull it, and then push it on. All right. So you pull the rubber band, so that makes it thinner, and then you push it on, and you're good to go. And then it allows you to move it, right? And you're going to see that here in a second. Now I have flowed them, and in this particular instance, the marks that were on the shaft were just off by a little bit. So I am going to see what I find here. You see that at the very end of the light there? Look at that. Pretty good, right? That's pretty up and down. So that's what we're going to do. Now, another thing I thought was important, you know, that's a lot of rubber band there, right? You just clip off a little bit and save the rest for later. Normally, you see me make a mark with black. Well, it's going to be pretty hard since everything's black. Hence, the metallic silver. Metallic silver. So I make a little line here, make a line there, and for those of you who never have seen it before, there you go, right? Nice line. So that allows me to assemble them, put the ferrule on, and still be in line. All right, here we are talking about swing weight yet again, and we're talking about swing weight and wedges. Now, the spec called for a D5. D4, D5 is a good number, right? That's what we're going to hit. Now, with using taper tips, it's a little bit of different animal yet again. I can't trim when I go to put it in there, otherwise the taper tip goes away. So we've got to figure out, using a naked length, what this is going to be. So here's, you know, you guys asked me about swing weight calculators, and this is how I figure it out. So I've put it on there, and I did it with at its naked length. So it's 38 inches at its naked length, and they're each a little different because they each weigh different because they're each different head weights, right? So at its best, it was in the high G's, right? And so what we're going to do is, if we go just assume a 35 inch, but one's 35 and a half, one's going to be 35 and a quarter, and one's going to be 35. So again, we have those weights working with us, but it's kind of a sliding scale, right? So if we take off 3 inches, 6, 3, that's 18. So that gets me into the F's. Take off, put the grip on, that's normally 10. That gets me into the D's. So now, once I'm in the D's, it's how much do I have to adjust each way in order to get it back into the tip weights, right? So when it comes right out to it, I don't need anything more than maybe a 4 or 6 gram tip weight. Something there easier to digest, something like that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and pin them out, but that for each length, just to make sure that they all come out with the same swing weight. And then we'll add these weights on there, and we're going to assemble them. Keep that in mind, right? So do some thinking about this. So talking about what we just talked about, the 50 is an F8, the 54 is an F9, and the 58 is a G2. If I'm taking off, the 54 is going to be 55 inches long, so that's 3, right? So that's 18, minus another 10 for the grip. So that's 28 swing weight points from a G2, G3. So 10 gets me into F2, right? Another 10 gets me into E2. And then another 4, another 8 gets me into E6. And I'm right there. So that's pretty good, right? The next one is, I'm going to go to 35 and a quarter. So that's only a quarter. F9, right? E9, D9, D1, and then I add a 1/4 inch, so that's in the D2, so I need to add about 3 swing weight points. So that's for that tip I showed you. And then 35.5 for the other one, and that was at F8, so E8, F8, E8, so it's E8, D8, and then 8 more, that gives me D0. I got to bring it up, I got to go 4 swing weight points. So my number gets a little bit heavier as I go up. And that's what we're going to have to add. So that's the reason why you do all those measurings, to do all those calculations, that I'm doing them just like this, but I'm doing them in my head. So nothing for the first one, a couple for the next one, and about 4 for the next one. So let's put them together. All right, we're assembling the wedges, and what I've done is I've tapered the bottom of the wedge, or the bottom of the weight, so it fits into the taper part of the wedge. Now I'm going to show you something that is probably one of the most important club assembly tricks you'll ever see, and it's using that. All right, when you go to put this in here, hear that? That's that wobbling around, because it wobbles around, because this is smaller than that. And you ever had one of those where you go to hit a club and you got this up at one end to the other? Well, there you go. This is how you make sure it doesn't happen. You put that guy right on there like that. Roll it around in there like that. And you just roll some extra tape. Make sure it fits nice and snug. Now it doesn't roll around. The other part is, all right, we get some glue on there. I push the ferrule down, so we have that, and just a dab of glue, and as you put it in there, you circle it around, and now it's glued in there, so now it's solid. Not only is it nice and wedged, but now it's solid. Shouldn't have any problems breaking off. So I'm going to put the rest of this together. As a surprise addition to the build, now I do have some others, but the one that really gets my attention is this. He wants to have me build a Ping G400, not the LST, but the G400. That was what was prescribed to him. So I went and got a new adapter. I didn't have an adapter, and I weighed it, and it's 207, and that is excellent for adding more swing weight, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. So we added, so we don't have to add this gross amount of stuff right in the bottom of the club. And that's definitely what we do not want to do. Now, because of the adapter, sometimes the bottoms of these guys are wide open, and you can put some stickum stuff in there. This time I don't think we're going to have to, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now, as a new addition, we are putting in a Patterson Kinetics launch. A Patterson Kinetics launch. Now the difference here is the way that the shaft is made. All right, we've talked about sheet wrapping and filament winding. Well, this one appears to be a combination of both. So you look how nice and smooth it is at the bottom, and then you get to see the, it just shows off its pattern at the back end. Now I got to talk to the president of this company when I was looking into this particular shaft, and this guy is 100% into golf shafts from a physics standpoint, which I like. And he is talking about doing some things that are unique to the golf industry. They're just not out yet. Thoroughly think that this will be a shaft coming forward. And this one is the KGTP 65 D30. D30. And the D is for the D30 is for the R. So again, I'm going to put just a small tip weight on the end, and we're going to install it. These are not made to be tip trimmed. Again, the Patterson Kinetics launch, the KGTP 65 Plus. And we're going to go put the tip in it just like you've seen, and we're going to let it dry with the wedges. Welcome back to day 2 of boxes to build. And this build that is going to Southern Ohio, we did 3 wedges, a Ping driver, and a couple of Cobra clubs, a 3/4 wood and a hybrid. Now what you didn't see was the Ping build, a little bit of it. I added a weight in the tip, and that was about the end of it. and same thing goes for the 3/4 wood. Now, I haven't done the hybrid yet, so David, it's going to be a bit. And the reason being is, you see how short that is? The insertion depth into this particular club would be short even by my standards. And I like an 1.25 inches so that the epoxy has the chance to grab. Well, it's not even in there, so it might be 1 1/8 inches, even less. If I was to put a tip weight in there, then there's even less shaft grab, and that's not what I'm looking for. What I have found is that there is a hole way deep in there, and I have purchased a tool that will help me swing weight inside the head, and that should arrive Monday. As soon as that arrives Monday, I'm putting it together, and it will ship out on Tuesday instead of shipping out on Monday. So that's just the thing that it is. Another thing is that I had to redo one of these, and it was because I had a gap that was about a 32nd wide, and it bothered the crap out of me. So if you saw what I was doing, and we were putting a tip weight in, and it got kind of wobbly, if you guys can, the first guy that answers it correctly of the reason why when I put the tip weight in that particular club and the reason why it wasn't solid and wobbly will win that. Since I was installing the new KBS graphite shafts, whoever answers, I will send you this. It is an adjustable cap, nice and white, and with the KBS logo on it. Alright, so send me them. I'm inserting it into the hosel with a tip weight, and it got wobbly. Why? And then tell me what you would do to make sure it went away, and I will tell you in the show notes below what it is. I know I'm giving away that part of it, but hey, it's, you know, it's part of the thing. So answer that. So we got it going through here. Glue's nice and dry, and we have done the ferrules on the wedges, and we're going to cut everything to the specified lengths that David wanted, and we are going to install the Pure Grip, made in the U.S. The Pro. It's got the cuts in it to give it that I don't know, the Pro look, whatever. It's a nice feel. It's going to look really good. So what I want you to do is, I'm going to put all the specs that it came out to down into the show notes, and it'll probably float around here towards the end. So watch the end, and that way you'll be able to see these specs as they get there with the pictures. And so, like always, let's see your scores go low.